Yes, the final session, decoding the content ecosystem. That is going to be our last session for the day. There's so much discussion about content strategy. The concept of content ecosystem is definitely pivotal. And this session, the last session, is all about unraveling the complexities and exploring the depths of the content ecosystem. And we've always had the best of the best joining us. So I'm going to take this opportunity to invite Mr. Hari Prasad, co-founder of ArtCube AI, to join us, along with Pankaj Belwarrier, Director of Communications, University, Andhra Pradesh, Narayanan, Chief Executive Officer, Alliance Advertising and Marketing, Prachi Narayan, Managing Partner and Head of Content, Havas Play, from Havas Media Network, too. Please join us on the stage, ladies and gentlemen, with a big round of applause. And this is going to be moderated by Balaji V, Director Marketing, Repose Mattress Private Limited. The last session, and I'm sure it's going to be a blockbuster one.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Balaji from Repose Mattress. We are in the business of sleep, so I hope, being the last session, we don't put you to sleep. So, welcome to this panel on decoding the content ecosystem. We are living in a time where content is being shaped by creators, platforms, audiences, and even algorithms, making it more dynamic and fragmented than ever before. Today, our panel will explore how content is created, discovered, monetized, and trusted in this fast-changing world. So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this session. Pankaj, I'll start off with you. With so many formats, short form, long form, podcasts, OTT, social, what's shaping the content priorities of media companies right now?
Yeah, very good question, Balaji. If you look at the overall ecosystem of content consumption worldwide, the content consumption in the current era has grown many-fold, essentially because of the multiple platforms available to consume the content. Every platform provides opportunity for relevant audience they cater to, and also the relevant form of the content, which is either short form or long form. All right? In the mobile first syndrome, where you get up in the morning and the first thing that you pick up in terms of media, which is mobile, and the shrinking attention span, the short form content is taking over. And the mobile as a platform gives you the opportunity to browse through the short form content. So therefore, in this current era, which is called mobile first era, the short form content becomes very relevant for that era. And the short form content gives you brand awareness and gives you very high level of engagement. All right. However, it doesn't mean that the other form of content, which is long form content, is not relevant. The challenge of the short form content is it only gives you very high level of brand awareness and maybe higher engagement, but it doesn't give you the in-depth information about the product or services or any of the content that you're wanting to talk about. For any in-depth information, long form content is important. Anybody who wants to know more about what you're talking about, the long form content is irrelevant. Short form content is very popular among the younger generation. We call Gen Z or even Gen Alpha. They are the ones who consume higher in the short form content. But professionals or Gen X people, they want to know more detailed information about what you're talking about. So they get into long form content. Long form content like podcast, YouTube videos, articles, newspaper articles, media articles, that is where long form content goes. The advantage of the long form content is that you get to know detailed information about products, services, information, in my case, about the SRM University that we normally talk in the long form content. And long form content helps you building the brand, building brand trust, brand credibility, and also the overall brand strength. So the ideal scenario today for a strategic approach for agency or a content creator is to have the combination of short form, which will give you immediate traction, immediate engagement, and maybe higher brand awareness, and a combination of a long form content which will give you in-depth information about that product, which will give you brand visibility, brand equity, and brand strength. And combination of these two will give the message in totality and create a good brand awareness and brand mileage for this. So the both content format, short form and long form, is relevant in today's world. And a strategic approach would be to use the combination of both in the right platform to the right target audience.
Okay. Thank you so much. Narayanan, this question is to you. In a world where anyone can be a creator, how do professionals differentiate themselves?
Good evening, all of you.
Yeah, you're audible.
We are in the land of Tamil Nadu, so I think to answer the question, I will actually have a Rajnikant dialogue which say, Yen vai, tani vai. It means it's like I have a differentiated way and that really stands out. I think to answer your question, professional really stands out. And the reason why they do it is because they have of the trust they create with their viewers. That's very important. As Arnab highlighted in the earlier session, it's all about authenticity. I think that's more important. Above all, it's like expertise and subject matter. I think that clearly differentiates them. Yeah, we know that many of the new creators, like now anyone can be a creator, as you rightly pointed. Content is accessible and everyone is more free to create any content they want. And many of them actually, they just ride on some fleeting trends and there are some high production value which catch quick virality and then it becomes a trending thing. But that's not sustainable. I mean, you need to really kind of build content and be consistent for a longer period. Now, I think I'll give you 3 examples of this. One is a go-to person. Like, I mean, I think there's one content creator I follow, Ankur Variku, and he has a lot of digital expertise in building digital brands. Now, the way he gives his insights, which is insights on clearly is on finance, it's on productivity, it's on entrepreneurship. And though the content is very entertaining, but the insights are really remarkable. And it connects a kind of emotional resonance with the viewer. And it's not just about successes, it's also about the failures and giving real life examples which really stand out. So professional that way really stands out, which really transitions. I mean, in this case, he has transitioned himself as an educator and a true life coach. And transition has happened from being just a kind of information giver to a perfectionist. Like I would say, performer to a perfectionist. I think that's my first example. The second example, I think, is also specific to Tamil Nadu. Let's take a Tamil Nadu example only since we are in that state. I think there's a YouTuber who started as a YouTuber. I think his name is Madan Gauri. So he has this remarkable ability of breaking down complex topics like current affairs, science, history, into in a simple layman's term. Now, that has really caught attention. I mean, I was surprised to see his million viewers. It's almost 8.6 million subscribers, of not even views. It's subscribers to his channel. And that because it really brings in this kind of subject matter, which is all about news and information, and it's blended with cultural relevance. I think that makes it really like specific to Tamil Nadu. And he's also gone in many cases, gone hyper-local in terms of content, which really has given him that kind of advantage. And he has transitioned, though he started as a mere YouTuber, but I think now he's positioned himself as a credible media person. I think that's a transition which happened and that's come to consistency. It's not to a one-off example. So that establishing that trust and that credibility is very, very important. And that really differentiates the professional from an amateur. I think that's how I would answer your question.
Thank you. That was interesting. Hariprasad, you made a very awesome presentation about your company, artcube.ai. Now, in the context of that, I'd like to ask you a question. What impact will AI-generated content have on creators, publishers, and audience?
Okay, so starting with the creators, right? very initially, I think creators will be very, very happy because, they have tools at their disposal, which really gets them, get the best out of what their mind is kind of thinking about from a creative sense perspective. But I think what would happen as tools also evolve, the creators also need to, upskill themselves. So a lot of creators who are probably just on the periphery, trying to, get into the industry would find it very tough to cope up and create very quality content. So that could be a dilemma for a lot of people trying to enter in the era of, AI-powered content. So that said, also differentiation of content can become very, very, tricky. So for example, let's say in this room, you want to, have a dragon appear and, kind of scroll through from left to right. So you use some sort of, multimodal text prompting in one of these AI tools, right? So that would be the typical practice that most of the creators would kind of end up doing. So that prompting is the same whether you do it or I do it or someone from the audience does it. The prompt, the dragon, the type of dragon, all of it will be pretty much similar. And probably, there's no differentiation between what one could create versus the other. So to create very professional grade content will be extremely, extremely tricky because it's just a combination of not just, some sort of prompting, but it requires very advanced techniques. So similar to what our sort of companies or very specialized companies end up doing. So the way we would, just to summarize on the creative part, creators will find it very easy to start off with, but to create professional grade content, you need to, really work hard and or upskill to, kind of get there. Point one. Second, from a monetization perspective, because user-generated content has always been monetized, right? So what normal creators could, kind of end up doing is that their income levels can drop because what you kind of generate will be pretty much similar to, there's not great differentiation until there's a lot of time, effort, and upskill that's kind of, put in, and also investment in sort of tools and techniques, right? I think that is one part of the creator thing. Now coming to the publishers. So publisher has another dilemma, right? Because there's so much of content getting created, plethora of content getting created. I think for a UGC platform like YouTube, it doesn't make any difference, right? Because already, the volume of content that's kind of getting uploaded on a daily basis is very, very high. So they will continue to, and audience of those particular platforms will continue to consume content based on the quality and or desire, liking, affinity towards the class of product, class of content and the like, right? But that said, at some level, because it could be overwhelming, because right now you'll have to script and shoot or at least put in some effort. So the creators are putting in some effort to create it, but with the proliferation of AI tools, what would happen is the amount of content would get multifold, right? It's probably going to be 100,000 times X of what it's kind of getting created now. So content platforms also will, kind of, my sense is, kind of arrive at some mechanism by which they want to moderate it because not every content is treated equally and not everything can be monetized in the same length and breadth. So I think there'll be some amount of, techniques that will be used by some of these well-established platforms to kind of regulate from a user-generated content perspective. But the likes of premium content platforms, be it the likes of Netflix, Prime, and so on and so forth, I think they will invest more in the right tools, techniques, and teams to kind of develop very premium, high-quality content which could, make an emotional and, narrative storytelling to their audience. So from an audience perspective, I think things are only going to get better because audience, regardless of whether it is human created or AI created, always want the best. So they won't end up creating, just because, there's a lot of content out there, it's not that the audience would say, hey, I will gobble up everything. They still have their, I think the quality bar will start increasing and audience would, kind of basically, as the progress of this whole, kind of industry, kind of grows to the next stage, I think audience become more choosy. So that will probably have a flywheel effect, right? So audience only consume very, very high quality or content which they think they like for whatever reason that could be, right? And so that creates a flywheel. wherein, certain class of content is consumed by certain TG. And so the creators of those content again kind of go back to their drawing rooms and become more, active and, kind of put in more efforts to kind of generate quality content. So that way, I think the entire ecosystem, each stakeholder or each categorization has different attributes, and it kind of gets treated accordingly. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Prachi, this question is to you. With technology and AI to real-time analytics becoming part of the creative process, how do you ensure that human intuition and emotional depth remain central to your this one? See, brands are all about emotions and all that, right? That's the way brands have been built. But how does this work in this case?
An extremely pertinent question right now because most of us here, I'm sure, are using ChatGPT to even draft our WhatsApp messages these days. While the convenience is there, when we craft stories, how do you keep it close to what humans really are, right? I feel technology is essentially a GPS, but not the driver. I think, technology, it could be AI, it could be automation, it could be analytics, all of that could help you, uh, you know, chart out your route. It could help you optimize your journey. It could help you even, update you about the roadblocks that are upcoming. But it is eventually the human storyteller that is going to decide where to go and why. So I think that is something that we need to keep in mind because the essence of content is essentially instinct, right? That's how when we're humans, we live by our instinct. So I think that should not die. Also think about, just how we are. It's very human to, sort of take a pause in a conversation and how that can change the course of that what you mean to say. It's that unspoken look. It's that cultural nuance. None of it can be computed through an algorithm. So even at Havas Play, for that matter, while we use technology to think faster, to work faster, to listen better, but we very, very strongly protect that space where we can take creative gut calls. I think that is where magic happens. A lot of times what happens is, data may say zig, but your heart is saying zag. I always go by zag because I think that's where the memorable campaigns happen.
True, even movies which have used great technologies, but with no storyline have not succeeded. So that I think will remain always truth. Narayanan, this is addressed to you. Can subscription and ads supported models coexist or will one dominate?
Very, very relevant question, given that it's in this modern digital economy. Now, one would predict that the winner takes it all, but actually that's not true. It's clearly a coexistence model and moving more towards a hybrid model. Okay, let me give you some example. Like all of us are preview and I think we all use Spotify. Now, Spotify is a great model. Like they have a completely free model where any consumer can listen to the music they want and it's supported by limited ads. But at the same time, they also have a premium subscription model where there are no ads and that gives a completely the user, they give your user a great experience of listening, plus the sound quality is also better. So they have a premium tab. Now in this case, though there are two different models, but both don't compete against each other. In fact, they complement each other. I would say there's a greater synergy there with this model. And eventually, every model, like every platform, is going to be, whether it's even if you take JioStar and even if you take many others. I'll give one more example. I think New York Times, I think that's a great example of where they pivoted this completely subscription-led model. They felt that their information which they are giving are so valuable and so insightful that their readers would pay a premium to it. So I think it's a completely subscription model, and I think many of the international or global newsmakers are moving to that. News publishers are moving to that model, which clearly, though they have a trial version so that people can sample them, but eventually it's only for a few days where where their subscription hits a payment paywall. And they have to do a payment anyway. So I think it's moving to that model. I'll give you one more. I mean, these are two different platforms. I mean, so Spotify is a great one, and then this New York Times. But if you take a common, like if you take a YouTube, let's say I was surprised to see a YouTube. All of us knew there is a very popular gamer, I think, called Carrie Minati. I mean, we might not know, our children might know, and very popular among teens and youth, and I think you will be surprised to see the subscriber count of almost 45 million. And each videos deliver around 75 to 80 million views. Okay, now the model is the creator or the subscriber or the content creator clearly strives on the business he get on the revenues from his free advertising. He gets that anyway, and that's great because Google or YouTube monetizes for his content, and it's largely YouTube content, and he gets his revenue stream, fixed revenue stream from that. But at the same time, what he has done is, in YouTube itself, he has created this kind of subscription model, which is similar to a membership perk or something, where his kind of loyal fans can interact with him. They can ask him questions. The questions are given live. At the same time, he also gives them some kind of freebie. I mean, not freebies. I would say this. I think emojis, something. He gives something like a customized emojis and this which they can display in their social media or something. So it is also a model where it's a free subscription, but at the same time, to kind of interact with and keep his fans loyal, there's a kind of a very personalized or interactive experiences which he shares. So it's a kind of hybrid model. So I would say, to answer this question, like, it is not, one doesn't compete against this. It's not a battle of dominance, but it's actually a kind of a strategic integration where both integrate and both kind of it's a kind of a symbiotic relationship they follow. So I think that's my answer to the question. And I would say anyway, as Prachi also mentioned, it's all about content. So I would say, I think of a dialogue in, I think, Three Idiots movie, which says, like, excellence के पीछे भागो, success खुद ब खुद दौड़ते आएगी. So it means, like, create that content, give that kind of uniqueness, and create that kind of so specialized and exclusive content that the viewers are attached to you, and you will get your success from that. Don't bother about getting acquisitions or viewers through that. I think that's how I would answer your question.
Prachi, this is more a very foresight kind of question. As audience attention span is decreasing by the day, and the content consumption, like umpteen options are available, what formats or approaches do you see dominating the branded content space in the next 3 to 5 years?
So there's a lot of focus on formats. Honestly, I see us heading towards a duality. We cannot do away with either micro or immersive. I think I see them joining hands to create something meaningful. I think that's the way it should be ideally. When it comes to micro formats, shorter formats, let's say there are snackable reels, a lot of interactive formats. That's essentially to catch eyeballs. And at the other end, you've got the long formats, the immersive formats, AR, VR experiences, there's live experiences, and then there are these longer branded documentaries. Essentially, those lead to long-term impact when they sort of bring the audience in, but they keep the audience in for longer. I think, we need to think of a sweet spot where both of them work well for what they actually do well. I also feel that as marketers, we are the ones who are bothered about formats. I think we need to think idea first. We need to think the story first, the ecosystem first. Formats can change, If you've got a great idea, you can take it today, using the kind of dynamic media that we have today. You can turn it into an Instagram reel. It can expand from there into a live event. It can go into an OTT show also. Important is to have that idea first. And I think all of us here in this room are thinking format first, but I don't think the audience, when they watch a piece of content, I don't think they're seeing it as a format. I think they're just seeing it as a piece that engages them. They want to be engaged. They want something which is authentic. They want great storytelling. They want basically a world where they can find a perfect moment where they also fit in. I think that's what we all need to focus on, and success is after that.
Okay. Hari Prasad, a very similar kind of thing, but a slightly different angle. With attention span becoming lesser by the day, how do you retain stickiness?
Yeah, cool. So I think let's probably look at why, attention span is probably going down, right? So probably I think, humans are designed to, kind of do a certain set of activities in the day for a certain hours of time, right? So for example, typically 9 to 10 hours of work, some personal time, some family time, and some entertainment time, right? So what has happened with plethora of content coming in with, with or without AI is essentially that the time for activity remains the same for every human or the society, but the options to consume content across varied distribution channels have kind of risen very fast and to very high degrees of volume. So people do not have, so say as a kid, I would probably, watch, I had no much choice, right? So I would probably watch a Doordarshan or whatever, one or two series or one movie a week or something like that, because that is what was available to me at that point. But now I think because of the varied developments all across, right? So you have a lot of options, and people have to sample it. It's just like you going for a buffet food in maybe a meridian here, right? So when you have just a la carte, you have 3-4 items that you like, but when you have a full spread, you got to quickly sample and get to a point where you want to kind of get to what you really like or what you want to try at the end of the day. So content is no different, is what I believe, and that has probably the philosophy that I just said has probably given rise to why short form of content is kind of getting popular. One is time constraints, probably also to sample out various things because you don't know what new thing is out there and what you might like other than very known genres which you already appreciate and probably consume at a regular interval. So that being the case, now advertising and monetization also needs to kind of rehash and rethink how you address this sort of a phenomenon, right? So what worked in the past may or may not work now. So obviously one thing is very sure in short form content, given that it's only 120 seconds or max 180 or 240 seconds sort of formats, you don't have interruption ads and those sort of things that work typically, which are known to work in other formats. So probably one such thing that could work is in content advertising, very emotionally connecting both with the storyline and to the context specifically could work. But apart from that, I think broad framework would be that everyone in the ecosystem need to probably iterate faster, develop end-to-end systems and processes wherein they test out, basically test, iterate and learn fast and see what really sticks. So I think that would be the holy grail of how you make it successful in this short form content.
This is to any one of you. Any examples of marketing innovations in branded content recently? You can share it.
I've got a few if I start. I think last year we did something innovative, which has won some awards also this year. It's continuing to show up very well in the award circuit right now. It's a campaign that we did for Swiggy. It's called Swiggy Bhog Elo Bone, which in Bengali means Bhog came to the forest. And the idea was Swiggy basically wanted to build its position in the West Bengal market. And what better time to do something nice and inclusive at the time of Durga Puja, which is their biggest festival. So we created a floating pandal and took it around the islands of Sundarbans, because the natives of Sundarbans actually never get to participate in the festival because there is no pandal there in that region. So I think, it was an extremely heart-touching campaign for all of us, even while designing it, and the kind of interactions that we had with the natives there and the 3,000 tiger widows who have never been a part of that festival was, something that I'll cherish forever. And that has shown up in the kind of responses that we've got on digital and social media on the campaign also.
Great. So we already heard the bell. So thank you all for this very interesting and insightful session. And I would also like to thank each one of the audience who are sitting here at 6 o'clock. And before I conclude, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Shankar and his team for putting a great effort in bringing all of you people together and making this media summit a grand success. So thank you all.
And our panelists, and to do the honors, I invite Mr. Babu and Mr. Bala from 4 Dimension Media Solutions to please join us on stage and do the honors.